Welcome back to PigzTV and AllReasonNoLogic. This is Beyond All Reason for you.
Welcome all new players and those needing a fine tune. Today we're diving into the 5 most important things you need to focus on at the start of a game in Beyond All Reason. Mastering these will set you up for victory. To start it off, first thing you're going to do on any map, you're going to look around and you're going to pick your starting location. The first decision is going to be based on 2 crucial factors, and those are metal availability and geographic positioning. Always looking for areas with metal spots to maximize your early economy is important. Aim for at least 3 to 4 mexes, stands for metal extractor, in the general vicinity of your commander if you can. Some maps, like maybe this one, they're a little bit more stretched out, few and far between. So in this map here, you can see there's a few groups of 3. Say here, 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 maybe here. That'd be the options of what you've got. Next, you're going to consider the geographic location. So are you in a valley, a plateau, or are you in a lane in a multiplayer map? Is your start location near choke points or wide open areas? Is there vegetation for a claim? These questions will all affect your build strategy, and that'll determine if you need to put any defenses up as well, or if you need to keep some units in your base. So on this map, you can see there's a bit of a defensive hold here. If you were to start there, and same down here, you've only got a couple locations to defend. But if you place your commander here, you can see the build circle. He doesn't quite reach both mexes here, whereas here you can select both mexes in your starting build. So I'm a little bit more of an aggressive player when playing 1v1s or small maps, whereas on a larger map I'm probably a little bit more defensive and go for that economy, get a bit greedy. Then I might be taking a position like this. Anyway, for the purpose of this video, I'll pick this location here. The next thing we do at the start of a game, and one of the most important things, is to look at that wind speed. So you want to check it to be above an average of 5 to 6 on a map. Anything below, you should consider a mix of solar and advanced solar, but remember they do cost a lot of metal. So if you can, build the wind, and also take advantage of any geothermal if it's available on a map, and of course that reclaim that I mentioned earlier.
I mean, I'd like to mention that the idea of, for me personally, obviously being a newer player, is I'll go build the solar for stability for the wind maybe, but not too many, which is obviously something that you personally and some of the other guys have been trying to teach me. Don't go too far with them, you know what I mean, because obviously the wind it'll go up and down, but obviously you're using a lot of metal, like you said, which is really important at the start of the game, especially on maps like this where you can't get 3 or more mexes, you know, relatively early on in the game.
Yeah, that's it, spot on. Okay, next up, defining your game plan. So map size and your proximity to teammates and the distance to the enemy will all affect on what's going to shape your strategy. On larger maps, ones with backlines and front lines, you can consider focusing on rapid expansion, so building that extra greedy construction bot, or construction vehicle, or construction aircraft, or construction hover, of course, if you ever start on hovers. Don't recommend that though. And you might want to prioritize some defense, but also you need to consider always early aggression and just early scouting, so that you can see where your enemy is. Something you don't do too much, Pigs.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm learning that. Briefcase was telling me off the other day in a post about that. You're not moving your stuff around enough, and you get it blown up and not looking. So he was giving me an ear bashing for it.
Even just one or two ticks or rovers or something like that, or even grunts if you core bots, just to see that the enemy is not attacking you. You also, by having a forward unit, might see an early bombing run. if it's not picked up, and then you know to rush them if they've built here straight off the start.
Yeah, I think primarily for a new player, and even though I'm relatively new, there's a lot going on in your own mind, and trying to, you do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do that. And one thing forgets, and I even do it. Say, oh, I should have. Oh, all my units have died. It's like that. Sometimes you need your eyes in your back of your head. You need to look there and do that at the same time. But obviously, things like that come more natural as you keep going on and playing more and playing more. I've only really been doing it for I've done this, obviously the scenarios, but with you guys, it's probably only been, I would say, 6 weeks maximum. I think I came over you and on your Discord, and then obviously played in there, and got invited back, and and we are what we're doing now. So it does take time, so don't get despondent. Oh, this blooming game, and then going away. No, you have to put the effort into, like a lot of things in life, or otherwise you'll not get anywhere. It's one of these games, easy to play, difficult to master.
On that, if you can just set up some fundamentals on the game, you'll get decent at the game. And so that leads on to the next thing. I will just finish off my last point actually and say, if you've got teammates close by, you need to coordinate your roles. Maybe one's focusing on teching up while the other one maintains early pressure. But if you're isolated, you need to balance your expansion and defense carefully, and definitely do not tech at the same time when you're going up to T2. Then the next thing, what we're leading into was the build order, the first steps. So a solid build order sets the tone for your game, and here's a tried and tested sequence for you to get started. Especially on maps where you can't reach all 3 mechs. Sometimes you'll get a 3rd mech in that circle. The idea is you want to build everything within the distance of your commander's circle. So build 2 mechs, 3 wind, and then simply a lap. And I might lock position and get the game started.
Battle started.
So when you do this build, you'll have approximately 240 metal left over from your starting 1100, plus whatever you've accumulated from the mexes and your commander over time, totaling between 350 and 450 depending on the value of these mexes, 2.1 in this map. And building these 6 buildings, or 5 buildings, can I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 buildings, all within the range of your commander, will take 45, 46 seconds depending on his little spin times. And assuming he doesn't have to walk. After that, what labs down, I like to put down a few more wins, and then also assist with getting out maybe a grave robber if there's reclaim nearby, which there isn't in this map. So I'll be straight into 1 construction bot, and then I'm going to get out 5 grunts, and then go back to 1 construction bot, and then 5 more grunts. And you can do similar, just not spending too much metal on the more expensive units at this early stage until you've got that higher income. I'll just quickly pause there.
Battle paused.
So if there's a 3rd mech within reach of your commander, you can look at building the 3rd mech after your first 2 wins, followed by a 3rd wind, and then the lab. So within reach, like I said, that means so your commander doesn't have to walk. You want to build everything in that range, and all subsequent wind and mexes, maybe there'll be a mex over here within that range, and you want to position your commander at the start so he's not moving at all. Yeah, this applies to all starting build orders as well, and you want to do as least walking as possible, especially when you're a new player. And if the wind is low, the recommended build order would be 2 mechs, a solar, the 3rd mechs, and then a 2nd solar, then the lab. Definitely more expensive though than if the wind's an option.
Battle started.
Here's something that I've found is, I mean, people might be asking while they're watching this, well, if you've got 3 mechs right close to you, why wouldn't you get the 3 mechs first? Well, the problem with that is, if you do that, you will then try and, let's say, if you turn around and build the lab, for an example, you will definitely run out of energy, and then you'll have to stop, turn around, build some wind, and then go from there. So you're stalling, which is not something you want. You want to be the least amount of stalling you can, which is otherwise stalling's in other words, you're trying to build something and you haven't got either the energy or haven't got the mechs to actually be able to do it. So then you've got to go do, you know, the other bits to get that and go back again. That's what stalling means.
Battle
so
paused.
obviously you're wasting time. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, all good points. One thing when you're doing this, like a build like I've got here, sometimes I'll send my commander out to build the other mechs or build a second construction bot if I'm feeling safe, is trying to get that construction turret up quite early so that I've got enough build power in my base for the commander to be able to walk out. I've just realized where I've placed it here. I've done a terrible base setup, so if I place this construction turret here, he'll be able to assist with the upgrading of these 3 mexes, but this bot lab will not be in range of that construction turret, so this is a good example of a mistake. This bot lab probably should have been built here, and I should have built my wind up the top there. So now because of that, I'm going to have to build my construction turret up a bit higher, and it's only going to be able to cover 2 of the mexes, and that last one's not going to be covered for the upgrade.
Battle started.
You can hold down space. Sorry, you can hold down space as well if you've got the opponent coming. You can quickly interrupt the build queue just by holding down space and clicking something like that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something to bear in mind. It's something definitely that I do. I mean, I've been trying to improve, not just basically bashing things everywhere to start with. It is an important part of the actual building. You don't really realize how important it is, because obviously it's like one of these things. It's a bit like trying to build a road without any, you know, like infrastructure underneath. You know what I mean? Unless you do the first bit sort of right in a usual order, you will affect the rest of the things. Hence the reason why you said about your construction. I mean, I personally used to, and probably still most of the time, put it behind
Battle
the lab,
paused.
which is probably a bad place, because obviously, like you said, is if you want to use it to upgrade stuff, it's too far away from other things. You know what I mean? You can't do it. So that's an important point to take note. And that, again, it takes practice as well. You know, you could even practice that on a skirmish map yourself with an AI. What Tuggy's doing now, which is a dormant AI. So we can show you this just to get you used to, you know, how to start with things.
That's it. Now, just a 5th thing for this video. After your initial economy's up, use your commander to assist, like I just did with the construction turret, so that you're ready for it to be taken out and you can expand your base. And then when placing wind, just a real quick point on that. Just to resume.
Battle started.
You want to position them so they're in maximum rows of 2, or you can hold down Shift, Alt, and then Z or X to expand and contract the placement. If they're over 3 wide, they do have the possibility of chain reacting. So just make sure you keep them in rows of 2 or with gaps in between them. As long as there's a gap, it won't matter, and then you can do them. And they won't chain react. You might lose a couple, but not all of them. Okay, just some
that's
extra information. Don't forget to send out those early scouts. So this helps you to understand enemy movements and plan your next steps. And balance your unit production with offense and defense, especially if your enemies, if you're near enemy lines or vulnerable lanes. Anything else to add, Pigs?
No, I think that's covered the main. You know, this is just about the start of the start of the game in a lot of respects. So no, that I think everything's covered that we need to cover in this, and yeah, I'm definitely quite happy with that. How this is turned out for the new user.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one last thing that I just snuck in there is that area mechs button. If you simply click a constructor and then drag a circle, it'll pick up all the mexes in that circle. There's your last tip. Happy gaming, everyone.
Bye for now.